A leader whose journey beautifully bridges the world of technology, business, and strategy. Our guest, Mr. Manu Garg.
You have to invest in research, you have to invest in development of the product, and then finally you have to invest in taking this solution to the market.
Fascinating to hear how each of these products address completely different business challenges. You can really feel the responsibility and complexity behind these projects.
B2B solutions do have a lot of features. So what happens is that if you look at the whole solution, it does seem to be complex.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to FaceTime with Leaders, a podcast series by Directors Institute, World Council of Directors. I'm your host, Sunny Pancholi, and today we are joined by a leader whose journey beautifully bridges the world of technology, business, and strategy. Our guest, Mr. Manu Garg, has spent over 22 years shaping the technology and software ecosystem across India and abroad. From his early days as a programmer in Delhi to leading international ERP implementations in the US, Singapore, UAE, Malaysia, and Indonesia, Mr. Manu has been at the heart of digital transformation. He has built end-to-end ERP frameworks, developed marketable software products, created e-commerce platforms, and led complex projects that touched industries from textile to finance. His leadership spans every facet of business, from product development to marketing and strategy. And today, as CEO of Garg Technologies and Concepts Private Limited, he continues to push the boundaries of what tech-enabled businesses can achieve. But beyond the code and boardroom strategy, there is the story of grit, vision, and reinvention. Mr. Garg, it's an absolute privilege to have you with us on FaceTime with Leaders. Welcome to the show.
It's all my pleasure, and thank you, Sunny, for having me. And thanks to Director Institute for this initiative.
All right. Okay, so Mr. Manu, let's rewind the clock. From the first role as a research associate at Millennium Maritime to now leading strategy and operations. It's been a 2-decade-long journey, right? So could you take us through that story? I mean, what were the turning points, the pivots, and the defining moments that shaped who you are today?
Well, it has been a long journey. Looking back at Millennium Maritech with the CEO Abhay Jha, it was a wonderful start. I was a research associate and into programming, of course. To now, today, wherein we are developing products and solutions and delivering it to the industry, it definitely has been a long journey. So you are right, there have been many turning points. Let's say from the first turning point was, switching from being a developer to getting into ERP consulting. And then in ERP consulting, also there have been many turning points because I have worked with Ramco Solutions, I have worked with Microsoft Dynamics NAV, I have worked with SAP Business One. These are all world-class products. So when you switch a product for an ERP consulting, and it's a turning point in itself, and there's a learning curve, and there's, in terms of product, in terms of the target market, and everything, and of course, when you become an entrepreneur and you get into this journey, it's a different ball game altogether. So yeah, it has been a long thing, right?
That's fascinating, Mr. Manu. I can imagine how that first experience must have shaped your thinking. And it's always interesting to see how beginnings influence the bigger journey.
Right, of course they do. Working with Abhay Jha in the beginning, I mean, he was very straightforward, and he told us we could, upfront, because that was a startup in itself early on. So we could very clearly see his vision in terms of value creation, how important value creation is, and how you transform value creation and bring it into a product, as such. So we back then, we were trying to develop a security system for the Indian Parliament, and then we developed a kind of a thing, and we showcased it at various high security places. So yes, you are right. I mean, early on stages, early on exposures that you get do shape your career a lot.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great. So that sets the tone for the conversation ahead. Okay, so moving on to the next question of mine. Mr. Manu, you have led ERP implementations across continents from Midwest Textile in the US to Duraline in India and countless others, of course.
Right.
What was it like being in those rooms where the stakes were enormous, where, one decision could impact entire plant, supply chains, and business outcomes?
See, yes, ERP implementations are by definition high stake projects. And that's where, your role as a consultant, as a project manager becomes very important. So, yeah, I mean, on one hand, you have to manage the expectations of the client's management. On the other hand, you have to make the solution work for that company. So you have to interact with the uh, all, the length and breadth of the employees of the company over there. On the other hand, you have to manage your team of consultants, make sure that they are delivering their best as a consultant. Then there's another story to it, which is your company, which is your consulting company. The management of the consulting company has its own set of, let's say, expectations from you as a project manager, as a consultant. So you have to manage all this, and on top of it, the solution, the value addition that you're giving to the client is on the top. So it's a high stake game, but then as a consultant, it's a part. It's an essential part. You have to understand and give your best at it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I can almost feel the tension in the room. I mean, the pressure must have been enormous, knowing that one choice could ripple across an entire plant or a supply chain.
Yeah, because these are transformations. Basically, any company that goes for an ERP implementation, it essentially is a transformation if it's done correctly. So you are right. It's a big decision for any company.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think listeners often underestimate how intense it gets at that level. And your perspective really brings it to light. So, moving on to the next question, Mr. Manu, you have built products like the SXC Business Suite, Recruit Plus, BizPlat, and Redon CX mobile app. Now, each one solved a different kind of business problem. So, looking back, what's the common philosophy you carried into every product you developed?
See, the products are a different ballgame altogether. When you are talking about solution, these are customized solution typically. But when we are talking about a product, it means that you have identified the key pain areas or the problems that a particular industry maybe is facing. You've designed a solution to address those areas, and then you've brought this solution into a product which immediately solves that for a set of customers. So this is a journey. This any product has a journey behind it, and it can be short, but usually it's long, especially if we talk about B2B business solutions that we're talking about. So every product has a journey, every product has its own background. So for example, this Achievers business suite that we give to the companies as an ERP solution today, it has a very long background in terms of the technologies that we have acquired to develop this, in terms of understanding the industry requirements, and in terms of how it can actually benefit in the current market scenario. Because this has been developed for SMEs. So SMEs, by SMEs, I typically mean, companies who have a turnover up to, let's say, 500 CR, right? So these companies have a lot of requirements, a lot of complexities in the process. And if you empower the SMEs, I mean, you empower the nation essentially. So product development is very important. You have to invest in research. You have to invest in development of the product, and then finally you have to invest in taking this solution to the market. and you have to understand the nuances of each stage. So it's a different, I mean, every product has a different, let's say, journey and a ball game altogether.
Rightly said, Mr. Manu, and it's fascinating to hear how each of these products address completely different business challenges. You can really feel the responsibility and complexity behind these projects.
Yes, they are by nature, well, not always, but by nature, B2B solutions do have a lot of features. So what happens is that if you look at the whole solution, it does seem to be complex. But then if you look at a part of it, for example, if I am the purchase manager and if I intend to look at only the purchase manager's role in the whole solution, it's pretty straightforward. So these are not complex as such, but yes, for us consultants, I mean, they are complex exercises because we have to take care of all the departments in the industry. I mean, depending upon the customer's requirements, of course, it is not necessary that a company might go for all the modules. But then, yes, if you even go for the basic modules, like, for example, purchase, sales, inventory, accounting, right? Even if you leave out production, because that's taking the project to a next level in terms of complexity. So even if you take the basic modules, it has all the modules to be taken care of. So it does has its own uh, effort that needs to be done and solutioning to be done.
Absolutely, absolutely, Mr. Garg. Uh, okay, so what I would like to ask you next is you helped secure Paytm money as a strategic account at Cognizant, and which is a huge, huge, huge win. And on the other side of the line is at Redon, you built a mobile app with just three-member team. These are wildly different scales. So yet they're big successes. So how do you personally balance agility versus scale in leadership?
See, whenever you get into any company, you have to focus on what the company needs. So talking about Radon, they required mobile app, of course, and a lot more than mobile apps. So we were able to deliver that. And you have to adapt yourself. You're right. You have to adapt yourself according to the requirement. Talking about, for example, getting strategic accounts for some consulting organization, that's a different ball game. But then, when you are in that role, you have to get into it. So it's very similar to, like, for example, when you are a father, your role is different. When you are a husband, your role is different, but you're the same person. So you adapt to the roles. So it's very similar. So when you are, for example, I have a background in development, so I can deliver customized solutions. I can get the best designs for developed for your organization based on requirements. And then um, if you talk about the marketing and sales portion, that's another necessity. So if a consulting organization needs to get strategic accounts for that matter, or make a marketing strategy and have the sales team work on those strategies to take it to the market. So, well, yes, experience does come in handy, and exposure to various industry verticals, various market and geographies does help. Uh, but then it is wonderful as a journey, because you get to learn a lot, and it's exciting at the same time. Traveling is exciting at the same time. You tend to travel a lot based on the projects, because your projects can, for example, I have traveled all the way from, let's say, projects in Goa to projects in various countries, as you said. So agility is required. Unless and until you are able to adapt yourself, you will not be able to deliver the right thing, even within ERP consulting. So that's a core let's say, quality in a consultant that should be there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's incredible how these two projects are at completely different scales, yet both were critical successes. The contrast really shows the flexibility and thoughtfulness required in leadership.
Yeah, I mean, if you talk of leadership, it's all about thoughtfulness, because if I look back at various roles that I've played in different companies, especially as a team leader, uh, there are many instances where you were able to take the team to a success or a project to success only because you were able to make the right decisions and you were able to identify what's not happening in the correct way. So there might be challenges in very different places. So, for example, there might be a challenge where people are obstructing because of vested interest, or they're simply resisting change, or there are people who don't want to put in the effort, or there's somebody who's not pushing the right information to the top. All those kind of things can be there. And only if you manage all those things properly, so you are able to lead it and take it to the successful culmination of that project.
Rightly said, Mr. Manu, rightly said. Great. So we have seen the strategies in action. Let's unplug from the boardroom and get into some fun, quick fire. Are you ready for it?
Oh, yeah, sure.
All right. So here I shoot you the first question. First app you check in the morning, and be honest. No Outlook answers allowed. Okay.
Well, first step has to be WhatsApp these days because I get messages from. I mean, even today I have customers from different geographies. So sometimes there are messages which have come late night, and I have to check them. In some cases, they might be an early morning meeting. So unless you catch them, you lose them. So it has to be WhatsApp today.
Expected. Okay. If your life had a background soundtrack, which song would be playing right now?
Ah, that's a good one. Well, it can be something like अजीब दास्तां है ये कहाँ शुरू कहाँ खत्म ये मंजिलें हैं कौन सी. That's a wonderful song, by the way.
Absolutely, absolutely. Nobody knows कहाँ शुरू होती है, कहाँ खत्म होती है.
Yes, absolutely correct.
Okay. Great choice. Moving on to the next question. The one piece of tech you secretly wish had never been invented.
Well, ironically, it has to be the mobile phone. Especially because it's very difficult to control. People, technology has always been a double-edged sword. And in today's time, if you look at mobile phones, especially for kids, I mean, it's very difficult to manage. So we definitely need more systems to manage mobile phone access to kids, if that can come as a culture.
Absolutely, I agree with you completely. Right. Okay. So next question is, if you had to pitch yourself in a 10-second elevator pitch, but only using emojis, which ones would you choose?
Well, okay, emojis means, okay. Well, it can be pretty simple. First will be the worry emoji if you're stuck somewhere. Then can be the light bulb emoji. You get an idea, or we help you get an idea. And the last can be a smiley emoji where you're happy with the solution. So that's
Wow. That was below 10 seconds.
yeah. So 3 emojis actually tell the whole story.
Actually.
We tell our customers, that's what we do. We take our customers' business from, let's say, from chaos to a competitive edge. It's a transformation. I know instances where we've been able to deliver much more than what they had anticipated. And we are happy about it. And that's the way it should be, in ERP consulting. Otherwise, it's no fun. Even we don't find pleasure out of it if the customer is not happy.
Right. That was fun and unexpected. Okay. Next question. Which do you trust more? Gut instinct or data dashboards?
Okay. Well, it has to be a combination. For example, if you're taking a decision on how much you have to purchase, it has to be data driven. But if you're taking a decision based on whether or not I should hire this person, it's not always data. It is gut instinct up to a large extent. the personality of the person. There are so many factors that come into play. So it totally depends upon what kind of decision it is. And many times it can be a combination of both. So, for example, again in hiring, for example, the data can have its own role in terms of how the candidate has a track record, whereas you cannot take a decision just based on that. You still need to analyze the person as a whole, and then hear your inner voice and then take a decision. So it has to be balanced. There's no either or actually. So
Right.
I hope that answers what you are looking for.
Absolutely, absolutely. Though you have to make a choice, but yes, a combination works better.
Yes, yes, yes. I think so, at least.
Right. Okay. So what's the funniest tech fail moment you have experienced, either personally or in a project?
Funniest tech fail. Okay. Well, tech doesn't fail as such unless you take it wrong. Um, it can be people do not take it correctly. Only then, instances occur where you term it as a tech fail. I heard a line once which said that to err is human, but for disaster you need a computer. So these are tools. As I said, these are double-edged tools. So if you take them in the right way, if you use them in the right way, they'll work wonders for you. Uh, if you don't take them in the right way, they can harm you as well. So tech fails can be as simple as, if you wear a shoe that has a slippery sole and you slip down the rain, so that's a tech fail in itself. So, but if you choose the right set of shoes for the rains, then you won't face that problem.
Absolutely. Okay. Last question of the rapid fire round. You have worked across the US, Dubai, Singapore, and Malaysia. Which country gave you the best food memories?
Best food memories.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, it has to be the US because if I talk about food, there are, so many cuisines to explore. I still remember there was a place called Bayapan in this city called El Paso, and they had this dish called um, what was this? This was a typical Mexican dish, Um and it's a soup with some cheese in it and some kind of noodles in it. I'm forgetting the name, but it's beautiful. And because US has this culture, you typically we eat out every day. So what we used to do was we used to try different cuisines in the vicinity, and that was wonderful. That's something I've not actually experienced elsewhere. So it has to be US.
Okay. All right. So see, that's Mr. Manu the boardrooms never get to see. But I'm glad our listeners just did. In 2011, there was the high-profile Air India case where the CBI filed charges against Air India officials, IBM, and SAP over irregularities in a 225 crore rupees software procurement. So, Mr. Manu, given your extensive experience leading ERP implementations and handling large strategic accounts, how do you ensure transparency, ethical governance, and risk mitigation in your projects?
See, if we talk about the board level, I mean, you have to get into the details. The devil lies in the details. So whenever the board is, I think, whenever there's any approval that comes to the board, what's important to understand is, has all the relevant information come in? It should not be a report based on somebody showing what he wants to show. It should also includes the factors which maybe he doesn't want to show. Maybe he's uncomfortable, or maybe the whole management down the line is uncomfortable. But then you can make the right decisions only when you get to see that. In this particular case, there was Air India already had Oracle implemented inside. It was doing good. There was no case where They required a new solution. There was no justification they required to spend so much of money for a new solution. But this decision happened. And I guess it happened because somewhere or the other, everybody did not have the full picture. So my take is get into the details, make sure you have the full picture, and then take the right decision. That is the only way out. I mean, otherwise, you will take the decision based on half-baked information or biased reports, which typically will tend to go in a wrong direction. And that's where, corporate governance and all the frameworks and everything that you teach, that you get to learn, plays an important role. And that's what even the senior directors who've been, guiding us and teaching us in Directors Institute, they've been teaching us. They've been telling that these are the pitfalls that you should avoid. These are the best practices you should follow as far as board functioning is concerned or taking a decision is concerned. So there's no shortcut. It has to be something that you delve into detail and discuss. Maybe if you don't have the expertise of that matter, maybe solicit advice, maybe consult hire an expert to guide you on that matter. But then that's the way out. I mean, there's no magic bullet. Every case has to be studied on a case-to-case basis.
Absolutely, Mr. Manu. And hearing you reference the Air India case really puts into perspective the risk and complexities leaders face in this space.
Right, of course.
Okay. So, moving ahead, I want to ask you something on behalf of all the professionals listening in. You have recently been part of Directors Institute, right? So, if someone asked you why it matters, not as a course, as an experience, what would you say has been the biggest unlock for you personally?
Biggest what?
Unlock.
Oh, well, this has been a turning point in itself when you were talking about turning points, because when you are working day in and day out on the projects and, you're just focusing on the business on a day-to-day level, no matter what domain you're working on, you really don't understand the broader picture on the longer term. Because even we as ERP consultants, though we worked very closely with the management, I don't think we really interacted with the board members as such. And that is the picture which a lot of us do not really understand unless you really get to know what corporate governance is all about and the importance of it. I still remember when I was first time reading and learning about the whole corporate governance structure and the uh, different things about it. I was thinking, wow, this is the way how a company should ideally be governed. But then, I mean, in SMEs, you don't get that focus. That focus comes in only when you cross a certain threshold. So let's say once you start crossing maybe 500 CR to the next level where you are actually getting into the category of a large organization, that is when maybe you have that exposure to those kind of management consultants who actually push you into that corporate governance scenario, or your company has crossed a certain threshold which actually forces you to think on that level, or you tend to raise funds, then the investors force you to get into the corporate governance scenario and they force you to have a board so that there is an oversight on everything that's happening. But unless you have these instances, you typically do not understand what corporate governance is all about and how a company should be run on a board level. What's the real role of a board? And that's the turning point. That's the whole thing that you learn out of it, and you prepare yourself to take your company or help other companies to govern their businesses so that they go to the next level. We are talking about 5 trillion economy. We are talking about becoming the next whatever number of economy in the world in the next few years or whatever decades. That can only be done if we really know how to manage our business on a corporate level. Otherwise, we'll be stuck in small games. And so that's the only way out. I would say it has enormous importance. If you really want to grow your company, yourself as an individual, there is no other way out. And on top of it, what I never thought was, it opens the doors for you on the international stage. So, for example, if you really want to help a company overseas and with your experience, and they understand the value that you can bring in as a board member, they will be able to do that only if you understand, if you are working on the board level. Because otherwise, you will not be able to see the bigger picture. You might be able to give them a small solution, maybe for a particular problem, but you will not be able to guide the company on that level. So if you really want to take India to the world, then there's no escaping the corporate governance learning journey. And thanks to you, thanks to Directors Institute and the whole team for giving us this platform.
Great to hear that, Mr. Manu. And it's really interesting to hear how you approached Directors Institute initially, not just as a course, but as an opportunity to expand your perspective. And I can imagine stepping into that environment would feel both exciting and slightly daunting.
Yeah. Well, initially, I did not know what to expect really. I just knew that it sounds interesting, but when I got into it, it was an eye opener. So yes, it was wonderful.
Great, Mr. Manu. All right. So thank you so much for joining us today. From building ERP frameworks across continents to creating products that transforms businesses, your journey shows us how technology and leadership come together to shape industries. So thank you once again for joining in.
Thank you, Sunny. Thank you.
And to our audience, if today's conversation sparked insights, share it with someone building their career in tech, business, or governance. Because these stories aren't just about knowledge, they are about action. This has been FaceTime with Leaders, powered by Directors Institute. I'm Sunny Pancholi, signing off for now. And until next time, keep learning, keep evolving, and keep leading with purpose. Thank you so much.